guys, welcome back to Kimberley's WWE blog. Today's video is going to be a particularly different one. I'm going to be talking to you why I love women's wrestling. Basically, the reason why I love WWE is because back in the day, when they were called WWE Divas, there were eye candy and basically like sex symbols, but when they had women like Alundra Blaze, Lita, Trish Stratus, I can name quite a few, I'll be here for hours. Basically that's where the women have actually like laid the foundation in women's wrestling. But when we had the Divas Championship, which was not a very good bout to have for women in the WWE, that's why it was called the Divas Championship. To be honest with you, I never liked the Divas Championship. It looks like a squashed 20p with pink painting on it. The word divas was massive on the belt. It didn't symbolise anything to do with WWE, and it didn't symbolise women's wrestling. So when we had women in NXT, me personally, I think it all started, the women's evolution, it all started when Paige came into NXT, and she became the very first NXT Women's Champion. And ever since then, NXT has been one of the shows that everyone has to watch, because it's more it was a little bit more entertaining than Raw and SmackDown. But then when we had the four horsewomen like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, tearing down the shows in NXT, especially in NXT TakeOver, when we had Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship. Then Bayley won the title, and they had a rematch, which was the very first women's Iron Man match in NXT history, and also their main event in WWE, NXT TakeOver. And I think that the women in WWE, and they are just tearing down barriers. They are making history. We've got a women's Money in the Bank briefcase now, and there's rumours going around saying that WWE are going to be introducing the tag team titles, which will be good, because there's going to be more titles for the women, because there's more for men, and I think women should be treated equally as the men in WWE. That's my opinion. And the title, when they retired the Divas Championship at WrestleMania, I was happy, because they brought in another title, which was the WWE Women's Championship. And when they debuted it on WrestleMania for a triple threat match between Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair became the first women's champion, they debuted this belt, which was the WWE Women's Championship, and then it became the WWE Raw Women's Championship. And we have also the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, which is similar to this one, but the colour on either side is red. This is red, but on the either side and in the middle is blue to symbolise the SmackDown brand. But going back to the women's evolution, women's wrestling has just gone back to how it was back in the day when Lita, Trish Stratus and Alundra Blaze, Mae Young, and yeah, it's going back to that. Like, they're not called WWE Divas anymore, they're called WWE Superstars. And my opinion, like, women's wrestling today is outstanding. It's groundbreaking, and I love every single women's match, especially when it's matches that have never been done before. Like Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks had their very first, which was the very first women's Hell in a Cell match. Like, when they were climbing up the steel cage, I was like, oh my god, someone is going to break a bone in a minute. But then again, that is wrestling. Like, loads of women wrestlers get injured, and when they had the very first Money in the Bank ladder match for the women, I think that it was like, now that the women can say we can be as good as the men, we can like put bums in your seats in arenas, we can steal the show, women can do it, women can be as good as the men. And that's my opinion, and that's why I love women's wrestling. And also I love watching the men wrestling as well, and them making history. But I'm very, very excited in the near future of the women's wrestling, because we have two new women on the Raw brand, and then we got 3 new women on the SmackDown brand. We have, on the Raw, we have Sonya Deville, got the name right, and then we have Mandy Rose, and then on the SmackDown we have Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. And now that there is like, what I like to call it, fresh talent on like both Raw and SmackDown. And because Raw is on tonight, I cannot wait, especially Paige's returned. It's been amazing to watch, and that's why I love women's wrestling. And I want Paige to go up against Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship, and let's see what happens in the near future of women's wrestling. So that's why I love women's wrestling, because they are game changers. They're changing the game. So yeah, if you like this video, please smash the like button. If you want to see more of me and Kimberley's WWE blog, please click the subscribe button and click on that little bell too. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you again soon. Bye.